Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Cole here, and today we're going to be talking about a little game that you might have heard of called the Callisto Protocol. Now, for anyone who is not familiar with this was a game that was announced a couple months ago. It is the spiritual successor to Dead Space, the game that you're seeing on screen right now, if you're not familiar. And it has the same creative director as well as a few members of the original team who worked on this game working on the new one. This game has received nothing but praise and hype since earlier this year when it was first revealed for people who know about it, people like me who really loved the original Dead Space. It seems to retain a lot of what we loved about this game, and it genuinely looks like a project to really be looking forward to later this year. Of course, that's not why I'm talking about it today, as you can see from the title. It seems that the team over at Striking Distance Studios who are working on this game may or may not be in a bit of trouble development-wise, and it's hard to kind of tell, but it's got a bit of a conversation going, so I thought I would bring some light to this. So I'm a little late to the party on this, but about a week ago, director of the game Glen Schofield, who again worked on the original Dead Space, put out this tweet that has been a little bit controversial. He put out this tweet saying, "I only talk about the game during an event. We are working 6 to 7 days a week. Nobody's forcing us. Exhaustion, tired, COVID, but we're working. Bugs, glitches, perf fixes. One last pass through audio. 12 to 15 hour days. This is gaming, hard work, lunch, dinner, working. You do it because you love it." Now, I saw this tweet when it went up, and I didn't really see this as much of a bad thing, but oh boy, when I opened the replies, it seems that this one stirred up a bit of a storm. A lot of people feel that this tweet might be glorifying crunch, and especially because Glen Schofield is working in a much higher up role on the game, people are worried that management on this project might be forcing crunch on the developers and that it might be an unhealthy workspace. These are all very valid concerns to have in the gaming industry. Obviously, we've had a lot of games go through some really bad crunch over the last few years. Games that we love, like Red Dead Redemption 2, Cyberpunk for some people, somehow Fallout 76 for some people, but these games have had some major crunch, and in a lot of cases, it hasn't turned out well, but in others, it has. And some people tend to think, maybe crunch is okay if it leads to games like Red Dead 2, but a lot more people are concerned about the personal health of the developers when going through development phases like this, where if Glen's tweet is to be believed, 6 to 7 days a week, 12 to 15 hours a day, that is not a healthy work-life balance, of course. So like I said, this tweet landed very poorly, to which he then had to take down the tweet and put up this new one in its place. This one says, "Anyone who knows me knows how passionate I am about the people I work with. Earlier, I tweeted about how proud I was of the effort and the hours the team was putting in. That was wrong. We value passion and creativity, not long hours. I'm sorry to the team for coming across like this." Now, the reason that I wanted to bring this up is that a lot of people are rightfully worried that there might be some unhealthy crunch going on over at Striking Distance, but before I get into this conversation about it, I just want to make it very clear that at this point, there have been no reports of crunch or a hostile or toxic workplace over at Striking Distance Studios. That could be due to NDAs. Obviously, they're under contract to not talk about how the project is going while it's in development, and a lot of the time you hear developers come out and talk about it anyway. They breach their contract because they feel that it's worth talking about for the sake of the team. Now, that's not to say that there could be some issues and that people just don't think it's worth losing their job if it's found out that they were the one who were the whistleblower. That could, of course, be the case, but considering the size of this team and the fact that we've heard nothing even after this tweet, and as I said earlier, these tweets are from about a week ago as I'm recording this, so a week has gone by and nothing more has come of this. It is very likely that there's no forced, or as I like to call it, unhealthy crunch going on at the studio. But what I wanted to kind of throw out there from my experience in game dev is that there is unhealthy crunch, which is the one that you normally hear people talk about, but there's also a sort of healthy crunch. There's no terms for either of these, but I just like to think of them as unhealthy and healthy crunch. And healthy crunch is very much a thing. The last project I worked on, me and about half of the team were in what I like to call healthy crunch. And this is where you're working more hours than required, more than are being asked of you, but you're not doing it because it's being required by upper management or because you're not going to meet your deadlines in time. It's actually, as Glen said in his first tweet, you do it because you love it. Sometimes you just get so wrapped up in these projects, and it's hard to describe the feeling, but there's such a strong, genuine feeling that can come from that sort of creative fulfillment that the right project for you can offer. And I genuinely feel like what Glen is talking about is that a lot of the team is genuinely enjoying their work and is so passionate about their work that they're working much more than is being asked of them just because they want to see this project come out as well as it possibly can. Of course, I could be wrong, and a lot could come out between now and when the game comes out. A lot could come out after the game is released. Like, we could hear that I'm just so off the mark on this one, but reading this and knowing what I do about the industry from my time spent in it, I genuinely don't think that this is unhealthy or forced crunch. It sounds to me like this is just a team, or maybe just some members of the team, who are feeling so fulfilled and so passionate in this project that they're putting in more than is required. And maybe that's being a little too generous towards Glen and the rest of the management over at Striking Distance to just assume that, but from what I can gather and from the way that it seems right now, it kind of seems that that's the case. And I know that this is a shorter one and there's not as much to talk about as, say, with the recent Microsoft and Activision video that I did, but I felt like this was a really interesting topic to cover. I know that there's a lot of other people out there who have a lot of love for the old Dead Space games, like I do, and this has been a really promising project up to this point, and it's interesting that we just don't know if there's problematic development happening over at Striking Distance right now or not. It's something that we can speculate on all we want, but honestly, until we get more confirmation from kind of ground level devs at Striking Distance, or until after the game comes out, we just have no way of knowing. I would like to cap this off by saying that if anyone over at Striking Distance management manages to come across this, it's completely fine to delay this game. If that's necessary, I don't think that me or anyone else who's been anxiously waiting for this one is going to be disappointed if there's a delay. If the team is working extra hours, 12 to 15 hours a day, 6 to 7 days a week, like Glen says, because they need to and not just because they want to, then I would say this game should be delayed. Obviously, that balance needs to be maintained. If this is just a genuine passion project and there's nothing wrong with development right now, then keep on track. But like, I know that there's the Dead Space remake coming up, and I can't speak for every fan, but from where I'm sitting, I am so much more excited for the Callisto Protocol than the Dead Space remake, because I already have Dead Space. I don't have the Callisto Protocol. And I would put money on it that if there are existing Dead Space fans who only have the funds to purchase one or the other, they're probably leaning towards the Callisto project regardless of what comes out first. Even if you have to delay further out than the Dead Space remake, I guarantee you that fans who are looking forward to this will still play it. Even without the established IP behind it, this game carries so much weight because of Glen and the other members of the team who worked on the original, trying to get that creative output, that follow-up that they never got under EA's upper management. Trust me, like, we will wait for this game. If we have to do it, then that's what we will do. Anyway, that's gonna wrap up the video. Again, a little shorter. If you're new around here and you haven't done so already, feel free to go ahead and leave a sub, come back another time. We do videos like this, we do streams, we do playthroughs of older games. Right now we're doing Arkham Asylum and God of War. Feel free to leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it. It really does help out a lot for me with the algorithm and stuff, just getting more exposure to more people who are interested in videos like this. So I really would appreciate it if you threw me a bone. Also, just gonna throw this out there again that we do have channel memberships. It is the best way to financially support the channel if you feel obligated to do so. Obviously, ad revenue is great, but sometimes, demonetization comes in, limited ads come in. Sometimes videos just don't perform as well. It really does help out a lot to have, just even if you're doing the $2 a month tier, just having that guaranteed monthly income really does help a lot with the stability of the channel and my ability to put more time and effort into it. So, with all that being said, once again, I hope you guys enjoyed. Feel free to let me know what you think about this in the comments. If you're worried about the game's internal development or not, I'm interested to hear what you might think about this. But once again, I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Thank you for watching the video, and goodbye.